So MAGA is desperately trying to portray Kirk's killer as not one of them. If that man was any more full of shit, he'd be a colostomy bag.
One of the other pieces of good news is that Jimmy Kimmel is no longer on the air, and we're absolutely thrilled. We won't miss him at all.
What happens when a late-night loudmouth finally gets shown the door, and Greg Gutfeld teams up with Megyn Kelly to roast him like a Thanksgiving turkey left in the oven way too long? That's right. Jimmy Kimmel has been shown the exit, and now the jokes are practically writing themselves. Tonight we're breaking down the meltdown, the chaos, and the internet reactions as Greg and Megyn tear into him. Grab your popcorn. This is the takedown you didn't see coming, but once it starts, you won't be able to stop watching.
Knowing the like-minded media won't press you on it, but we will. Hey, Disney shareholders, it may be time to thaw out Walt to put things right. No wonder your 5-year stock price looks like this. Bambi's mom has a brighter future.
And frankly, all the liberal tear crying all over X is only making it better. What's the opposite of salt into your wounds? Sugar? I don't know. Balm? It's wonderful to see them upset.
Jimmy Kimmel's show has finally been canceled, and honestly, it feels less like breaking news and more like a long overdue decision. For quite a while, Kimmel has been dragging himself across late-night TV like a worn-out mascot at a kid's birthday party, trying to keep the energy up, but clearly past his prime and leaning on jokes that just don't land anymore.
Over the weekend, with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
If you're enjoying the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. And just like that, Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly step in to mark the end of Jimmy Kimmel's run, turning it into a roast that's sharper and funnier than anything he's delivered in years.
A little of everything, but it's great. Even in death, Charlie keeps winning debates. The media, this is what's disgusting. Just look at the reaction. The media is trying to make Jimmy Kimmel into their Charlie Kirk. But as if getting fired is the same as getting fired upon. That's what disgusts me, is how they're trying, this is a blatant effort to get the stink off them.
The irony is, Jimmy Kimmel wasn't just canceled. He somehow got canceled in the one place where that used to be almost impossible: network late-night television. The same space that let Stephen Colbert turn his monologues into a kind of low-energy routine and gave Seth Meyers plenty of room to coast with a style that rarely steps outside its comfort zone.
Wounds. Sugar? I don't know. Balm? It's wonderful to see them upset. I'm sorry, but it's like Stephen L. Miller, who's not to be confused with Stephen Miller, the Trump administration senior official. Stephen L. Miller, he's been on the show before. He's very clever. He's a great Twitter follow, and he tweeted out or posted on X, national media being more upset at Jimmy Kimmel losing his show than they are at Charlie Kirk losing his life is kind of proving the point.
But Jimmy Kimmel didn't quite make it. His performance eventually hit a wall, and even the audience's energy started to fade. Greg Gutfeld quickly zeroed in on Kimmel's ego. Having already beaten him in the ratings, Greg reacted to the cancellation like it was only a matter of time. It wasn't just a win. It felt more like a victory lap across the late-night scene. And the funny part? Greg didn't even have to try that hard. He simply leaned back, smiled, and pointed out that the so-called king of late night had suddenly stepped out of the spotlight. For Greg, it wasn't about pushing limits. It was more about wrapping up a story that had already started losing its relevance. Megyn Kelly, on the other hand, came in with a very different tone, sharper and more direct. While Greg kept things playful, Megyn focused on the bigger picture, questioning both Kimmel's approach and how long it could really last. And Kimmel's reaction, that might be the most interesting part. It feels like he didn't see it coming, like he believed his spot was secure. But in the end, television doesn't run on loyalty. It runs on attention. And once that starts slipping, everything changes.
Decades of brainwash that created justification for violence and for murder. Sorry, guys, he's not a victim. The victim is Charlie Kirk. The victims are his family. I don't shed any tears for a lefty millionaire who can still go home and see his kids. So look at this through that prism. Jason Bateman predicts a reckoning over Kimmel's suspension. Sorry, dude, the reckoning began without you. Your side got...
And Jimmy Kimmel couldn't pull in an audience even if he offered free pizza and gas money. The ratings dipped, viewers slowly drifted away, and the buzz around the show gradually faded. Greg Gutfeld leaned right into that, pointing out how Kimmel once pulled huge numbers, but now struggles to attract the same level of attention. At one point, it almost felt like the show had turned into background noise. It's also worth remembering how Kimmel built his image over the years, presenting himself as a kind of moral voice in late night. But somewhere along the way, that connection with the audience started slipping. Now the comparison feels more like someone trying a little too hard to get laughs at the dinner table, and the jokes just don't quite land. Greg's sharpest takeaway? It wasn't only about losing a show. It was about losing relevance in a space that moves fast and forgets even faster. And Greg clearly understands what keeps people watching. His show still pulls in viewers who tune in, react, and stay engaged. Meanwhile, Kimmel's presence feels much quieter these days, with far less of the attention he once commanded.
They're way more upset about this news, about this guy, this talking head who's been such a buffoon for so many years, doing nothing other than being unkind. I'm trying not to swear. It says right here on the top of my packet. Reminder, no swearing, because I'm on Charlie's show now. He was so wholesome. But in any event, being such a jerk for so many years, losing his show. No.
Megyn Kelly delivered the cold reality check. She pointed out that Jimmy Kimmel spent years going after other people, mocking them, criticizing them, and taking shots from the comfort of his studio chair. And now the situation has flipped. The same spotlight he once aimed at others is now shining directly on him. It wasn't just about the cancellation. It was about the contrast. For years, he carried himself like he was untouchable. Megyn didn't just react to the moment. She stepped back and looked at the bigger picture. The idea that what goes around eventually comes back around. And in Kimmel's case, it arrived in a way he probably didn't expect. Meanwhile, the internet reacted fast. Clips started circulating, reactions poured in, and the whole situation quickly turned into a trending topic. Greg Gutfeld added his own spin, poking holes in the idea that this was all part of some carefully planned exit. He compared it to someone dropping their dessert and then pretending they never wanted it in the first place. An excuse that doesn't really convince anyone. Megyn also pushed back on that narrative, pointing out that if this were truly Kimmel's decision, there wouldn't already be so much talk about who might replace him.
Thrown off social media. CNN tried to get Fox off the air. Do you remember that? Stelter, that don't say that. Stelter tried to get us off the air, and we're on a private airway. We're not in a public thing like ABC is. While they were doing this, they were promoting rhetoric that demonized people with different viewpoints. So there isn't a both sides here. You can't turn Kimmel into Kirk. That is disgusting, and I'm going to control myself. Let's look at the obvious here.
And here's where things get even more interesting. Jimmy Kimmel wasn't just beaten in the ratings by Greg Gutfeld. He was clearly outperformed. Gutfeld built a loyal audience, carved out his own lane, and turned his show into a serious contender in the late-night space. Meanwhile, Kimmel leaned more and more into political commentary, which didn't connect with everyone the way it once did. Night after night, Greg delivered sharp commentary and kept the momentum going. And now, it feels like he's the one who came out ahead. In this business, if you can't hold the audience, the network eventually starts to see you as a risk. Watching Greg and Megyn Kelly break it all down felt less like simple commentary and more like a lesson in how quickly things can change in entertainment. Stay too predictable, lose the crowd, and the spotlight moves on. Kimmel's journey has been a wild one, from street pranks to big monologues, and now this turning point. Greg walks away with the ratings edge. Megyn delivers the shark analysis. And Kimmel, well, he's left figuring out what comes next after such a long run in the spotlight.
Kimmel wasn't sorry. Okay, we played the soundbite on our show for you yesterday, and I'll play it here now just for those of you who haven't heard what got him indefinitely suspended. He's fired. We'll see, unless Disney bends the knee. But right now, it's not looking good for old Jimbo. Here's what he said in SOT 7. And he said that when he knew that it wasn't the case, the evidence had been ubiquitous about this person's left-leaning and commitment to left-wing ideology. We've gone through it repeatedly. You all know. And all of that was out before Jimmy Kimmel said that on Monday night. Did he come out on the air on Tuesday night and try to correct his lie? No, because it was a lie. It was an intentional misstatement of fact.
Greg Gutfeld quipped that Jimmy Kimmel's farewell show might have been better suited for a middle school cafeteria, the one place he might still pull a crowd. Megyn Kelly, always the sharper edge, joked that he could try lecturing goldfish instead, since at least they wouldn't walk out halfway through his monologue. Together, they didn't just take Kimmel down. They buried what was left of his career under a pile of well-earned ridicule. And honestly, late night probably needed it. For years, shows like his had drifted into political pep rallies disguised as comedy hours, with Kimmel leading the charge, trading laughs for lectures and jokes for judgments. Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly didn't just comment on the cancellation. They owned the moment. Greg brought the grin and punchlines sharper than anything Kimmel had managed in years. Megyn came in with surgical precision, peeling back the hypocrisy layer by layer like an onion. The difference? This onion had people laughing instead of crying.
Matt Dowd, who got fired for saying Charlie Kirk had it coming, he found a new revenue stream. He's actually selling T-shirts with his quote on it. Who's going to buy that? I mean, besides the entire cast and crew of The View and Jimmy Kimmel. Not me. I have enough women yelling, "Take your shirt off."
In the end, Jimmy Kimmel's career has officially become the joke, and he's not even the one telling it. Greg Gutfeld takes the crown. Megyn Kelly gets the final word, and Kimmel, he's left staring at the unemployment line, a bruised ego, and the lasting label of that late-night host who bored people into switching the channel. Somewhere in a dusty Hollywood office, there's probably a plaque that once read Jimmy Kimmel Live, now quietly collecting cobwebs. A pretty fitting metaphor for his career. Forgotten, dusty, and left behind while everyone else moves on. Greg and Megyn didn't just take him down. They reminded people that comedy still matters. Miss the mark, and you can end up exactly where Kimmel is today, canceled, clown, and out of the spotlight. Then there's the subplot, watching Kimmel's fans scramble to defend him, clinging on like passengers on a sinking cruise ship. Greg had a field day with that, comparing Kimmel's defenders to fans insisting their favorite band didn't really break up, they were just exploring solo projects. Except the tour flopped, the fans vanished, and the drummer quietly went out and got a real job.
All know what they saw. They saw what we saw. They saw the frail elderly man who needed help getting off the stage. They're just too chicken shit to tell us about it because they accurately deduced that he could still be the Democratic nominee and they don't want to ding him up. Maybe you give Barbara a pass. Who gives a damn what this singer saw or says? But you know what? Jimmy Kimmel happens to be employed by ABC.
That's Kimmel's reality. He's not going out on top. He's going out because the network finally realized even reruns of the Golden Girls were pulling better numbers. Megyn Kelly drove the point home, reminding everyone how Hollywood once treated Kimmel like the golden boy of late night, inviting him to every award show, plastering him on magazine covers, giving him profiles usually reserved for astronauts and saints. Now, he's radioactive. Invitations vanish. Celebrity friends stop calling. Old allies act like they barely know him. That's just how Hollywood works. Loyalty lasts only as long as the ratings do. And, speaking of ratings, let's not sugarcoat it. Kimmel was playing checkers while Greg Gutfeld was playing four-dimensional chess, capturing an audience that actually wanted to be entertained. Megyn pointed out that lately, Kimmel's viewers were mostly political junkies tuning in for the same 5 recycled punchlines, and even they eventually got bored and switched to Netflix. It's not just that Kimmel failed. It's that he failed at the one thing he was supposed to do. Late night TV is about charisma, wit, and timing, and he lost all 3 along the way.
The killer phrase was at the end when Kimmel said, "You just don't realize it." Because you see, he's smarter than you, and he needs you to know that. And his ego can't bear that there's someone out there more famous and more influential than him. I got news for you, Kimmel. The last time you mattered, Bruce Jenner still had
Last night, mostly, that there were multiple reasons why Jimmy Kimmel was pulled off the air. But chief among them was, not only was he not planning on apologizing when he was going to go back out on his show Wednesday evening, he was planning on attacking MAGA.
Somewhere along the line, Kimmel decided that being a part-time activist and a full-time scold was more important than actually making people laugh. That's like a chef deciding seasoning is optional. The audience notices, they walk away, and eventually, the doors close for good. Greg joked that Kimmel's cancellation wasn't really a cancellation at all. It was a mercy killing. The network finally pulled the plug on a show that had been flatlining for years. Megyn Kelly, always sharp with her analysis, added that Kimmel probably saw it coming. You can only stare at empty seats and ratings charts shaped like ski slopes for so long before reality sinks in. So, what's letting the rights 10 times before this matter? In the end, his legacy won't be the jokes he told or the interviews he hosted. It's a reminder that arrogance, hypocrisy, and mediocrity eventually catch up. And thanks to Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly, the punchline has never been clearer. Kimmel didn't just lose his show, he lost the illusion that anyone really cared in the first place. And that, my friends, is the real comedy.